In Breath of the Wild, we encounter 3 dragons, Farosh, Naydra, and Dinral. There has been countless theories on these 3 dragons, and I have a theory of my own on the dragons, but not those 3 dragons. No. You see, whilst I was looking around in the overworld and fulfilling an insane quest to 1 million rupees, I still don't really know why I did that. I noticed something rather interesting. I'm sure some of you will have saw these whilst exploring Hyrule. Now, no matter how you look at them, it's pretty clear that these are the bones of a fairly large animal, monster? No. These are none other than the bones of a wild dragon. I believe that long ago in the Kingdom of Hyrule, dragons were a part of nature, living in the wild, majestically. Let's take a look into my theory on why I believe wild dragons once existed in Hyrule. To start this theory off, I want to make one thing clear. These bones are not consistent throughout the world. I'm going to be focusing on 2 distinct locations where we get the best possible look at these treasured bones. Firstly, not far from Rito Village, we can find our first sight of bones, and interestingly enough, the location is actually called Dragon Bone Mire. There we go, theory confirmed, wild dragons in Breath of the Wild is what we could leave this at. But let's continue. Now, this skeletal structure is massive, and we could compare it to the likes of creatures like the Molduga, for example. Whilst they may have a similar skeletal structure, the size difference is very different, and Molduga also live in the sand, not solid ground, so that kind of rules them out. The next biggest thing would probably be the Hinox. However, compared to these bones, they are pretty small, so they are kind of ruled out too. The only thing we can actually find that is alive and moving in the game that could even come close to the size of these bones is the dragons. Now no, they are not a size for size match, but they are the closest fit. By the looks of things, the bones we see are just a portion of the dragon's skeleton, as the spine sort of just cuts off. The dragons we get to see are in the long and thin style, akin to past dragons like Volvagia in Ocarina of Time. Now, this skeletal structure also appears to be a section of a long, thin styled dragon. Well, a dragon seems like the only fit. Well, let's take a quick travel over to Death Mountain, and don't worry, we will return to Dragon Bone Mire. But Death Mountain has some fairly interesting stuff as well. I mean, for one, it has not 1, but 2 sets of dragon bones. The first set being located right next to Goron City, and the second set further south in the Gorombe River. Now, both of these skeletons are absolutely massive once again. Even partially gorged in the lava, there is a lot of bone to see. Now, comparing these to the bones at Dragon Bone Mire, we can see that they are fairly similar in size. I think we can safely assume that the bones at Death Mountain and the bones at Dragon Bone Mire are from the same creature. I mean, they are almost exactly identical size and features wise, so it's clearly the same creature. Now, normally I'm not one for using the name of a location as evidence, and especially not for Breath of the Wild, as the game is absolutely chock full of references within location names. However, Dragon Bone Mire isn't a reference to any past game. It's the first appearance of this name actually. So why would it be called this? Well, isn't the reason becoming clear? Surely it must have once been a resting ground or some sort of area that dragons lived around. It's in a secluded area near the edge of the land, has shade from the sun, and the bog that the bones are found in was once likely water that they cooled off in. I don't really see what else these bones could be from. They match the size of the dragons we get to see. One set is found in a location called Dragon Bone Mire, and it may have even originally been called Dragon Mire when they were still around. For all we know, it could have been the calamity that wiped the species out, and perhaps the reason we get to see 3 dragons in the game is because those 3 dragons are special in some way, maybe linked to the gods like some theorists have theorized. Could Calamity Ganon possibly have wiped out the dragons? Or maybe they went extinct a while before then? Remember, we do have the Leviathans as well. a different species that were wiped out at some point long ago. Maybe the dragons went with them, but for now, we will never know. Personally, I believe 100% that there was once a living species of dragons, just out in the wild, and one thing led to another, and they were gone. We can also gather from the different locations that there was likely different kinds of dragons, suited to different climates, and these are just the 3 most visible ones I could find. There is bound to be lots of these broken up skeletons, perhaps in greater detail, buried away beneath the ground. Now, what would life have been like living alongside dragons? Given the 3 dragons we can find and interact with in the game aren't exactly hostile or that dangerous to us, it could be fair to say that wild dragons would act the same. Now, you can get hurt or badly injured if you get too close to the dragons, so it probably worked the same way with these wild dragons. You could be close, but not too close, or you will likely end up getting very badly hurt. If you couldn't tell, I think dragons are pretty cool, and I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while now, so I really hope you found it interesting. Be sure to vote in the poll in the top right corner. Do you think those bones belong to dragons, or am I completely wrong here? Be sure to let me know. Well, there is another theory finally checked off my list. This is a video I've had planned for a while, so I'm really happy to get it done. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe for more Zelda videos. Also, be sure to hop in the Discord server through the link below, and until the next time, I've been Hyro Gamer.